In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how you can make your animation so much smoother. Basically, we're gonna be morphing different shapes, and this will help you a lot when it comes to the smoothness of your animations. By the way, I know that I'm promoting hard, but there's only 48 hours left before Motion Essence is no longer on the sale. So if you want to get that massive pack at 50% off, just make sure to apply code OATPRICE at checkout. That being said, we're gonna get started with this animation. Alright, so we're back in the software. Let me just show you the comp settings, 1920 by 1080. I'm gonna hit OK. And the first thing we need to do is grab the rounded rectangle tool, and we're just gonna create such a frame. I'm gonna recenter the whole thing. I'm gonna rename to frame, probably scale it down a bit over here. I'm gonna bump up the roundness, and then we're gonna create another frame. So actually we can duplicate this one. I'm gonna rename it to inside frame. And what we're gonna do is change the color over here to something black. Or maybe, you know what, dark gray should be fine. I'm gonna hit OK. And let's just uncheck constraint proportions. I'm gonna decrease X, and also I'm gonna decrease Y to something like that. Then I'm gonna take the whole thing and drag it over here. It already looks really nice. I'm gonna probably bump it up a bit more, and we're ready to go. So now as for our frame, I'm gonna change the color to something darker. Actually, this should do. I'm gonna hit OK. And also here, I'm gonna turn on the stroke. Let's use the stroke with 4, and also we're gonna make sure that the white color is set. Here we need the text, so I'm gonna type in Adobe After Effects. I'm gonna make sure it's in the center, drop it lower, decrease the font size. And what we're gonna do is basically have a different font style for Adobe. Probably semi-bold should be fine, and looks way better already. So what we're gonna do is apply that Apple style text animation. So for this, I'm gonna open up properties, go to animate, and I'm gonna pick position. Now from position, I'm gonna change the value over here to -100. Then I'm gonna go to add property, and we're gonna pick opacity. Then from here, I'm gonna change it to 0%. And what I'm gonna do is open up range selector 1, go to advanced, and we're just gonna change the shape from square to ramp up. Now let's bump up the ease load to 100%, and I'm gonna change characters to words. Okay, now we're gonna keyframe offset. I'm gonna change it to -100%. I'm gonna move the playback forward, and I'm gonna change it to 100%. Okay, so that's what we have. It's extremely slow, so we're gonna speed it up, and we should be good. Then we need another frame, so actually we're gonna create it from scratch. I'm gonna go to the rounded rectangle tool, and I'm just gonna create something like that. I'm gonna recenter, I'm gonna put it below, and also I'm gonna rename it to base frame. Alright, this is really nice, but we need some separation, so I think I'm gonna pick a darker color over here. Also, to create even more separation, we can go to frame and add drop shadow effect. Okay, this is nice, but I think I'm gonna stick with something softer, so I'm gonna decrease distance to 0, and I'm gonna bump up the softness to 100. Now, I'm gonna go to opacity and change it to 30. So just a nice subtle touch. Actually, as for the base frame, I'm gonna go to the stroke and I'm gonna turn it off. And also something we could have is a white background. So for this, I'm gonna right click, go to new, solid, and we're just gonna pick white solid. I'm gonna rename it to white PG. And I'm gonna drop it below everything. Okay, the scene already looks very nice. So the next thing we would want to have is After Effects logo. So I'm gonna drop it on the timeline, and I'm gonna scale it down to something like that. And then let's just pre-compose it. I'm gonna rename it to AE logo. I'm gonna hit enter, and I'm gonna drop it below the text. Now this is gonna be in our black frame over here. Actually, we can go into that comp, and I'm gonna scale it down just a bit more. Also, we could add some effects. So for this, I'm gonna apply tritone effect. Let me just show you how it looks. And as for the midtones, I'm gonna pick white. Let's hit OK. And the shadows are gonna be looking like After Effects, but a bit brighter version of blue. I'm gonna hit OK. And also something cool here will be the CC light sweep. So I'm just gonna apply it. I'm gonna change the shape to smooth. I'm gonna bump up the width, and I'm gonna change edge thickness to 2. All right, that seems great. Let's go back. And this is already looking really nice. And now what we're gonna do is go to the base frame, and I'm gonna uncheck constraint proportions. I'm gonna do the same thing over here in the frame. And now we're actually ready to set keyframes for size in each of the frames. So every blue layer needs to have a keyframe for size. All right, and over here as well. And then what we're gonna do is keyframe position for our After Effects logo. So if you just hit Alt-Shift-P, you're gonna get one on the timeline. And just so nothing is confusing you, I'm gonna go to the white background, and I'm gonna use the shy icon. Also, we can use a lock, and we can turn it on. So that way it's not gonna be visible. We don't really need it anymore. So now this is our first scene, and we're gonna morph that frame into another frame. So what I'm gonna do is hit U. I'm gonna have the time indicator somewhere here, and we're just gonna start playing around with this. Also, as for the inside frame, I'm gonna apply position keyframe. Let's match it with the other ones, and we're gonna make sure to actually have these keyframes over here. It's gonna be easier to understand. So let's go here. So what I'm gonna do first is extend X in our base frame. Then I'm gonna go here to the frame, gonna extend it as well. Here what we need to do is actually decrease X and bump up Y, just like so. And now with our position, we're gonna be able to move it to the left. So we kind of wanna align it with that corner over here. And I think this is pretty even. I'm just gonna squeeze in the X and move it even more towards the left. Now we also need to bring our After Effects logo over here. I'm gonna also apply scale keyframes. So I'm gonna take this one over here and let's just decrease the size. So that's what we should have. Then I think we're gonna apply opacity keyframes for our Adobe After Effects. So let me just do it. And this looks nice. What I'm gonna do is select all the keyframes, hit F9, and what you want to do is go to the graph editor and you wanna create a peak in the middle. But make sure to grab all yellow dots because constraint proportions is turned off. But since I got the flow plugin, I'm just gonna make it easier for myself. I'm gonna double click here. Okay, this is extremely slow, so we just need to speed it up a bit. Okay, this is good. And now we need another text. So for this, I'm gonna rename it to text1. I'm gonna duplicate, and I'm gonna make sure to move it forward. So this is gonna be more in the middle, and we're just gonna change the text to something else. The tool that turns ideas into motion. This is pretty cool. We can recenter and we can make some words bolder than the other ones. Just thinking which one will be good. Probably motion. All right, so that's what we have. And something I would like to do here is go to our animator 1. We kind of want to have it different from the text 1. So for this, I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to change words to characters. And also what I'm going to do is change Y position to 0. And we're going to bump up the X to 50. Let's see now. Okay, but it's too early. Still too early, so we're gonna offset it and we're gonna squeeze it in. Yeah, that's nice. And now from here, we're gonna squeeze in that frame vertically. So basically it's gonna be kind of flat in the middle. So for this, I'm gonna hit U. I'm gonna make sure to copy all these keyframes over here. I'm gonna paste them at this position. Later on, we're gonna squeeze it in for a faster movement, but for now, here it's perfect. So I'm gonna do it like that, then also the base frame, and we're gonna adjust inside frame as well. This is looking nice. We're also gonna adjust the logo. Let's decrease the scale. I'm just thinking maybe we went overboard, so I'm gonna probably bump it up a bit. Alright, this is really nice. I'm just gonna apply the mid graph again. I'm gonna probably squeeze it in for a faster movement. And something that'll be pretty cool here is changing the colors. So for this, I'm gonna go to the frame, I'm gonna keyframe fill color, I'm gonna move here and I'm gonna change it to black or dark gray. Okay, this looks fire. Let's apply the mid graph as well. That's nice, but it's kind of blending in with that circle over here. So I think for this, I'm gonna go to inside frame and I'm gonna apply light sweep. Okay, let's move it over here. We can decrease the sweep intensity, change the edge thickness to 2, also change the shape to smooth. I'm gonna probably bump up the width and I'm gonna make sure that the center is around here. All right, we can also kind of activate it. So for this, I'm gonna set a keyframe for edge thickness. I'm gonna hit U, I'm gonna move over here and I'm gonna change it to 0. So let's use the same graph. Yeah, it's a bit better, more separation over here. All right, and we need to duplicate text 2 and we need something for the third scene. So here a cool idea would be actually going from the top. So for this, I'm gonna go to the animator 1 and I'm gonna change X to 0 over here and we're gonna change the Y to -200. Very harsh, I'm gonna probably change it to -100. Okay, that's good. We don't need that position keyframe because nothing's changed here. And yeah, I think we should be good. Now we're just gonna squeeze in the keyframes for a faster movement over here. And we need some timing adjustments. Okay, let's see now. That's looking nice, but we also need to change the text over here. Let's say build for creators. I'm gonna change the semi-bold to black. I'm gonna pick white color. And let's see now. Pretty good. Let's bump up the font size. Okay, everything actually seems really nice. We're gonna turn on the motion blur. And also what I'm gonna do is uncheck shy icon. Now let's go ahead and select everything apart from the white background. I'm gonna pre-compose it. Let's call it animation. And I'm just gonna create some motion for this. So whenever that frame is morphing, I think it's a good moment for a zoom out or a zoom in. So what I'm gonna do is apply scale keyframe and I'm just gonna get closer in the beginning. So let's do it like that. Now we're gonna apply the mid graph. Also, something I would do is just speed it up in the beginning. So I'm just gonna take these keyframes here, and this should be perfect. We're just gonna trim the whole thing. Okay. We're gonna adjust it. You just have to look for the sweet spot, or you could make it easier for yourself. Just go here, go to the first keyframes over here, and if you have the playback on them and you go back, that means that the movement starts from here. Then I'm gonna go here again, I'm gonna go to the second set, and now the playhead is over here. So that way we can easily figure out where the movement starts and finishes. So I'm gonna apply the same graph and look at that. So that zoom out effect is perfectly timed. Then we can do the same thing. Let's have a playback here. I'm gonna go back, create a keyframe. Now let's figure out where the second keyframes are. And I'm just gonna go backwards. All right, let's apply the mid graph and let's see. We might even wanna start like that. Ooh, that's actually a good idea. Let me just figure out the graphs. Probably a bit too far away. Yeah, but this is good. I'm gonna add motion blur. I'm just thinking we're probably too far on the last keyframe. Yeah, that's better. And something I would definitely do for this is just add wiggle effect. So for this, I'm gonna apply wiggle position. I'm gonna change the value over here to 0.7. And as for the amount, I'm gonna go for 13. Let's see. All right, I think we're gonna finish our animation over here and we got the final result. So that's how it's looking. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial and you learned a lot about morphing frames. So that is it for this tutorial. Also remember that there's only 48 hours left before Motion Essence is no longer on the sale. So if you want to get that gigantic, massive, fat 50% off, just apply code OldPrice at checkout and you're gonna get it. That being said, we're gonna wrap it up here and make sure to check out the video on the screen. Cheers guys.